these 10 minutes, approximately, regarding Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the first version published by that name in the late 70s, concerns making up non-player characters. I'm specifically looking at the portion that is not in the appendices, and nor does it have anything to do with followers or hirelings. So I'm looking at this section in this book, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and it says non-player characters. It's a whole section, great big letters to begin it, starting on page 100. And it is a series of tables to roll. But I would caution against jumping in and saying, ooh, roll, 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 make up non-player characters, because the text is super clear that this is to be done when you already have one. And preparing for a session, and you say, I would like to know more about this character. I want there to be playability here. I want them to live and breathe. And I'm going to give an example of doing exactly this. Now, I knew that somebody had stolen a box of mains, which are kind of these damned souls of chaos, these chaotic evil souls that are mad, and these nasty little, meter-tall, demonic kind of guys. And there's a box of them, and through who knows what backstory, it had been sequestered and owned by the big law church instead of the chaos church, where one would imagine it properly belonged. And now somebody has swiped it. Well, I got to thinking about different people who would be involved in what may have come of the box. And I came up with the idea of somebody who was indeed ideologically oriented toward that church of law, but was independent from them, more of a political player, more of a different kind of power in the city. And that they, at the moment, were, in the middle of who's got the box, that the player characters were about to be embroiled in. So I had these notions, and I had one other notion. I had already gone through the monster manual and picked a whole bunch of creatures that I just wanted to see in play. And of course, one of them was the were-rat, which, beyond any other reason, is blessed by one of Dave Trampier's amazing pictures. And I'm playing thieves and assassins and, churchy clerics and churchy people and scary, shadowy doings in a sprawling fantasy city. And, how does one not have were-rats? So I happily said, okay, I have a non-player character. They're going to be a were-rat. But regardless of them being a were-rat, I have a couple of other thoughts about them. What shall I do? Note that the tables do not involve male and female. That's just something that apparently you're supposed to know or to decide upon yourself during the process. And there's plenty of others. There's nothing in there about races or whatever. You're not rolling up a character from scratch. You've got a notion of them. So I've got, all right, this human, female, I decided, were-rat. Some of those other details I already have. Notice that the were-rat is lawful evil, which is one of the reasons why I thought this happened upon what I wanted for this character. That, it matches. So, all right, I know what I'm going in with. I have a situational presence for this character already. I want to work it up. That's what these are for. So how do you use these tables? And I don't know if I mentioned this in this talk already. I'm talking a lot about things that I like or don't like in these rules, and this is one that I really, really like. And the logic is so sound. There's a little section on their attributes, which in this case I'm not too worried about because I have a monster block. But then it says facts tables. Now, what the instructions say is, first of all, that per table, if you look at the event, the content, and you say, oh, that one, because that fits, or you already knew it, just take that one. No roll. The second point about using the table, which I also think is tremendously important, is that they are not just a list that you could just roll in any order. They are deliberately in a hierarchy, so that you're not supposed to roll on the second table until you know what the result is for the first table. Every single table is a subset of the complex that you've created so far. So they're in a very specific order. And I think this is actually really well designed, cognitively speaking. All right, let's take a look at how this works. Might have to go a little quickly. All right, so the first one is alignment. Okay, bang, where we're at. Lawful evil, embedded in everything that I've already been preparing, so done. Didn't roll. Second, this was a person of status, a person with political connections, a person with the juice to pull off or to participate in this dodgy situation with a box of demons that belongs to one church and was in another church, and so therefore possessions and wealth, and I chose above average. Notice the order. First we know alignment, then we know possessions and wealth. Then it says appearance. Well, and this was age specifically, and I thought, well, I don't know. So I rolled and I got mature. Second, appearance, general, immaculate. Oh, well, that's interesting. So as a human, she's like super, super immaculate, and that sort of, I'm thinking above average wealth and mature person and immaculate presentation, lawful evil. All right, that immaculate just clicked right in. I didn't even look at the rest of the table. I just rolled on it, knowing I was going to roll, and I looked at this result, and it just snaps in. And the same thing goes for the next one, which is sanity. And I roll it. Now, this could be anything. The person could be completely bonkers. The person could be whatever. I roll, and I get normal. All right. Those are called the facts tables. There's 5 of them, and I've gone through these facts in their order, and each one presents something inside the complex of the ones so far. Think about how it might be different if that last sanity roll were different, but notice that it doesn't overturn the things above. Those are the fixed framework into which whatever that result was would be factored. Okay, then there are a lot more tables under traits. General tendencies, which is in this case turned out to be trusting, which was really weird. I'm like, this doesn't sound like a trusting person at all. That's not what I had in mind. Did I have something in mind? Well, I rolled on it, so I must not have. So, okay, let's see. I mean, it's the first of a bunch of tables. So in the context of being trusting, her personality is egoist. Actually, that's a double result. The entry there is egoist/arrogant. And when you get one of those slash results, you're supposed to pick one. And I said, right, an egoist would be trusting because they can't imagine anybody else, messing with them. Disposition, hot-tempered. Intellect, average. Nature, unforgiving. This is really firing. Now, I could have got different results, and it could have fired just as hard. That's an important part of tables of this kind. And also on any one of these, I looked at it and said, do I want to pick something? So by rolling, you're just accepting that a thing that comes up, you'll factor into that framework because that framework is feeling solid to you. At this point, I'm really feeling solid because what we have is this egoistic person who trusts people too much out of her egotism, but of course is hot-tempered if things go wrong, and is average intelligence. In other words, they're not as smart as they think they are. And they are unforgiving, right? If somebody sort of overturns their worldview by being, not loyal or something, or not doing what they're told, they're going to be hot-tempered and unforgiving. where at too, right? I'm starting to say, oh, and this is going quite nicely. Looking at the lawful evil, this is when she gets evil. So continuing now, materialism. Well, all right, I already knew this is a person who has a strong sense of ownership of wealth and things. So I say covetous. I'm looking at these. Now, covetous means kind of greedy and jealous of other people. So that I picked something that works for me in that regard. I kept rolling for truthful. Right. She's too overconfident or too egoistic and trusting to lie reflexively. Typically, we'll just say the truth. Normal bravery, normal energy. All of these could have been different, but you see, when you get a normal, you're like, okay, that is just kind of a center variable. That just kind of hums there. And we don't need it to throw anything else off. Thrift, okay, thrifty, that's something I chose. Thrifty, covetous, right? And then, oddly, a few things. Morals, lusty came up, and that mature person with an attitude like this, lusty. Okay, that adds a little spice to things. I wondered whether that was a little, too spicy, but went with it. Piety irreverent, which is perfect because she's bucking the church that she is kind of philosophically aligned with. She just doesn't like being told what to do. Lawful, yes, but that doesn't mean being ordered about. Now for the cool part. Remember, I had thought that she was into politics and had a political position or was involved in the power plays of the city and had that kind of status. And sure enough, the interest that I rolled was community service. Aha, so it's not just a dodge. This is a person who cares about the way things go, at least in certain districts, or at least for certain interests or communities. All right, okay, that was the end of it. And I said, all right, I think I've got someone here. That's the logic of it. Every single time you look at the matrix of what you've got from the previous variables, take that as fixed, and then interpret whatever comes up or whatever you may choose in that light. So 2 different non-player characters could have got the same result on one of the later tables, and it would mean very different things for each of them because they had different prior results. It's quite good. You do this for characters that you already have some feel for, some notion of, just you need somebody who is doing X, Y, and Z in this situation, or in any other way it makes sense for them to be there in the first place. You've already got a hazy picture. This thing's your baby. I think it's an excellent system. I think it must be the progenitor of one of the best character creation systems that I know. That's highly dice oriented, which is in the game Legendary Lives. I look at this and then I look at the player character system in Legendary Lives, and I'm like, they learned something from this. It's not identical, but there are very, very important similar operating principles. Okay, that's it for this time.